Oh man, what's going on, everybody? Oh, another week, another week, another week. What's going on, old man? How you doing?
I'm great, great. How you, young buck? What's going on?
Not the much, not the much.
Uh,
Another.
uh, Let's walk down. Let's walk down that hill and get all the cows. Don't run. Let's get.
What are you even talking about? Like,
It's an old saying. It's an old saying.
yeah,
Like
you can keep that old saying back in the 1700s with with the other quotes.
all right,
Oh
all
man,
right.
we got an interesting one today though. This one is a little bit of a head scratcher. Well, at least for us in a sense, but to the whole premise of this one is basically when it's that time between two people, that special moment, I guess would be to put it
Sex,
lightly. Yeah.
sex.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay,
mean, I don't know how the algorithm's going to work, so I don't really want to, put all the words out there. People,
okay.
you know what I mean? So try to.
That's right.
I don't really know because I say the wrong thing. We don't. We get the episode
I've heard
striked or something
worse.
like that.
I promise you. I heard it worse.
but yeah,
I get. It.
but yeah. I mean, it's climate change, so you can't really say you say that
It's
word
good today. Might
exactly.
not be good tomorrow. Right. That's right.
Exactly. So I
So
guess I guess we start out. Well, you know what? Let's just start off at the top. You're hanging out with your boys. You're all
mhm.
out. You're all out and about. I mean, I'm
Typical.
sure. I'm sure people want to know. Does a man take one for the team for his homies? That's a 100% yes. Like there's if you're with your boys rolling deep, you're and you're the quarterback. If you're the quarterback of the night and you're trying to hook up with another lady on and she has her linebackers and her offensive lineman trying to block, you're gonna have
They
your
look
boys.
like linebackers.
you, you're gonna have your boys.
Yeah.
You're gonna have your boys. Provide interference, so to speak. So that way you get a one on one. And then that's when I guess things get a little bit more complicated. Uh, but to those women out there, that are in that group setting, yes, there are the boys that will take one for the team, and they know their role essentially. Uh, they essentially know their role. But when it gets down to the nitty gritty, and it's time for the the come back to my place portion of the night. Um, I guess the first thing is, like, when do you if you get to that point and she says no, does it really mean no? And for me, I'm just gonna take it for what it is and say yes, because I'm not. I'm not. I don't know.
Absolutely.
It's like, all right, I'm out.
Absolutely.
I'm out of here. I'm like, I don't know. I don't. I can't
Yeah.
read your mind.
You don't right. You don't know someone and they say no. I mean, you getting to know them.
Right.
You know. uh, So if she says no, no means no. I mean, it's just plain, and there's no changing your mind either. There's no going back.
Right.
When you say no, that's it. Everything stops. Everything rewinds. Everybody goes back into their um, side of the field. You
Hmm.
know, either she goes home, you go home, or if it's too late or whatever, you find her a place to stay that's comfortable. But it's done. It's done. It's no convincing. There's no changing your mind. Don't say come back. So I thought about it, and no, no. You said no.
Right.
It's over. It's done. It's done. So, but even with that, that doesn't mean you're protected.
Right. 100%. Well, and that was interesting. You brought up a point. Find her a place to stay. That was the first time I've heard somebody say that, because usually Usually, at least from my experiences, it's just like you'll sleep on the couch and like let her stay in the room if it's too late or something like that. Like especially if y'all have been drinking. That I guess this was a little bit before Uber started taking over, Uber and Lyft and ride sharing and everything like that. But now you just call a car, call a Uber or something like that, and get them to go home. But prior to that,
Mhm.
in my experience, it was just like you let them sleep in your bed or whatever. You sleep on the couch. Just make sure you stay away and whatnot. And even if you have like because normally in that setting you're like with a roommate, I would assume, because you're younger, so you might not be as established as far as your money. I really didn't know a whole lot of people that were living on their own at that time frame, so you usually have a roommate, and so you have a witness in case something did go down. So you stay on the couch and she sleeps in there or whatnot, or you know if she wants to sleep on, you just provide options. Just be like, look, I'm just
All right,
provide
options. That's
provide
right.
options. Because nine times
But
out of
but the
10,
night. Okay,
no, I was
I'm
just
sorry.
saying 9 times out of 10, I would hope they want to, because the couch usually isn't going to be that comfortable, because it's a community couch. So it's gonna be you and your boy on the community couch. So you know how the couch is gonna be. It's just gonna be lumpy and all this other stuff. So yeah, but
Yeah, but but whatever you do, just make sure you're covered. Um, with the new movement, they Me Too and all that stuff, and once you get to that point, you're still in a compromising position.
right.
You know, it's he's her word against yours or whatever. So, but yeah, guys got to realize you just can't. If they say no, let it be that. No, hey, we're good. We're good. Hopefully, you find out before you get her to your place. But if that's not the case, like you said, now, especially nowadays, you got Uber and Lyft and all those things, options out there that you didn't have before. You
Hmm.
know, like you said, you would make those accommodations like sleeping on the couch and let her have the bed or whatever. But it's don't no. I just want to stress no means no.
Right.
Um, and there's no going back from that. Whatever you say, that's what it is. You know,
And it.
and that goes with the guy. What about the guy? What if the guy says no? What if the guy says no, but the other she says yes, and pursues that?
Mhm.
You know,
I
it works that same way as
you
well.
usually in that situation, the boys are there for the backup, because he's gonna tell the boys, be like, "Hey, I need your assistance. She is off her rocker or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
911 help, signal flare, get her out of here, or whatever."
That's right.
But usually when, like, if she says no, that's it. And that doesn't matter if she's a tease or she's playing hard to get. You don't want those. You don't want those. You don't want those problems whatsoever.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's usually, like I said, it's usually good to keep an open line of communication with your homies and let them know what's going on, so
That's
that
right.
way they they can provide assistance if needed, or backup, or whatever situation may occur. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point to where it goes down, and then she turns around and says, "Oh, he had his way with me and XYZ," and because that's usually how it goes. And when there's alcohol involved, is that um what's the judgments are impaired, and so people end up hooking up with people that they didn't intend to hook up with, and this, that, and the other.
And
However,
only judgment is going to be question is the one of usually is the one of the male.
Right.
You know, uh, if the male makes a bad judgment, he's still accountable to it. If she makes a bad judgment, it might be looked at differently.
Right.
By
And,
right. So
and don't get me wrong. There are plenty of instances, especially if you are like a prominent figure or someone who's making money, that you get in that entrapment, I guess would be the best term for it. And now there's been recently videos going around where people finding out that they're not the parent of kids and stuff like that. um and so it's just crazy. But uh
it's probably a lot more than that. I'm
but
serious.
I mean, I think the way to know, to back off. I mean, there's signs obviously when you back off as a dude. Like there's telling signs. Well, nowadays because things are a lot more obvious. But just the way how she may act, if like, let's for instance, if she walks into your house and you have a nice house, and there's eh, there's vocabulary that you may not have heard like the entire night until that point, and you're just, what's going on here, like, um but there's that, and it just depends on the conversations that you may have. There might be telling signs just based off conversation, like if she has kids, or if she's always out drinking and partying and stuff like that with her friends. There's just telling signs for when you should. It's one of those, you pull the parachute, or you either pull the parachute and get out early, or it's a one-off and you already established that that's what it is and that's it. And even then, if you establish that, that might not go the way that you planned. So it's just really it's a really really tough position to be in.
Absolutely, absolutely. And every time you're out there, you put yourself in that position because it can happen.
Right.
It can happen to any one of us. You know, so let's say it's you didn't hear the word no.
Hmm.
Didn't you? Didn't, do you think you're vibing the whole time? You think everything's going smooth? It could be alcohol induced. It could be drugs or whatever. Um, and then you get a response back saying that that's not what she really wanted.
Right.
What do you do then? How do you take that?
There, the spectrum of emotions would be so quick in that instance. Like it just goes from you go from happy because that's when you're finished. You
Right,
did you succeeded at your goal, you're happy. Then you go to confused, and then go from confused to angry and or sad. Well, probably sad, and then angry because you weren't provided that information earlier, and then worried after that, because then it's because that when you're worried, then it's just like, well, what's going to happen now? And so that that is just the quickest spectrum of emotions that a man could go through when
in a short period of time.
right,
From one
seconds,
state.
seconds,
That's right.
mere seconds, because then it's just like, well, what do you what would I do? Like, what's the next steps? I mean, that's when you have the conversation. But
Right,
you
right.
you also have to have what's that saying that you old people say? Cross your T's and dot your I's. Is that what y'all say?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's close enough. I
Yeah.
get the point, young man. But yeah, that's it, it could be crushing because you know you think now this go I'm taking it to different perspectives. You know, you could think, oh man, I crushed that. I did the do. She was happy. Everybody's good. You
Hmm.
know, and she was like, no. I mean, now I'm like, what? Now that deflates that little, maybe, if you had an ego, if you want to call it that, it deflates that. Then, like you're saying, the other aspects of it, man, it's like, what, what are you saying?
Hmm.
Is it, you know, you did want to be here, or you did want this to happen, or and and that's that's it's if you have the right to voice your opinion, but it's a dangerous thing with the wrong person.
Right.
That something like that could turn left real quick. Like you said, you think about the emotions, your life. It could be changed in an instant.
Right. And just for a prime, I just thought of a prime example. There was it was a football player in Georgia over there where you're at. He was accused for sexually assaulting this young lady and served, what was it, like 18 years, I think 18 years in prison or something like that, and then they found out that she lied about it.
That's
so
right.
so then his life was essentially ruined because one, he's already a convicted felon at that point, so it's going to be harder for him to
It's not
get a
going to
job.
change.
Right.
It's not going to change.
And so I don't know if they allowed him to do any schooling or anything. I don't know how the jail system works as far as now, if they allow you to do schooling or anything like that. I don't know if he was allowed to do any schooling while he was in jail, but he's behind the eight ball essentially once he gets out. Even though he may not have did anything, he's behind the eight ball. Like he's really limited to what he can do at that point.
And that's why it's with social media and everything out there now, um, and with the knowledge, like you said, you got information there. It's not just you. You got to be more responsible of your partners. Taking one for the team back in the day was different than taking one for the team now.
Yeah.
It could be serious consequences about taking one for the team compared to before. Just like you said, hey, call my buddy. Hey, she said no. Oh well, she wants to, and I don't. But she needs to get home. But I don't want to deal with it. Can you come get her? So now he's placed in that position. If he comes over there, he's placed in that position.
Right.
So this thing could it's so serious that just like the guy, 18 years of his life, and and the sad part about it is someone can say it, nothing happens to him. It's just it's that serious that and it needs to be looked at in that way. It'll be nice if everybody would be honest. Um, I've heard of situations when I was growing up where um, some people were promiscuous enough to sleep with multiple guys,
Hmm.
and it was all good until it got out,
Hmm.
and then it's different. And then it's looked upon differently, So, um, first of all, your young people don't know how to keep your mouth shut about things. They like to they want to post and broadcast everything they do, and I'm not saying don't do it if it's something that needs to be, but what I'm saying is people got to realize that is the new norm, and what you do may come to the light.
Mhm.
So, are you willing to risk everything you have and may potentially have for one night, or is it worth it?
Right. Yeah, and I guess to some people it may be worth it because they may be experiencing a lot of stress and other issues they may be going through. I don't really know. But typically, if the word is no, then you got to go.
That's
It's just there's no ifs ands or buts about it. However, um,
right.
there have been cases referring back to what you said earlier where the woman is aggressive, and I feel as though if the woman is aggressive, makes things a little bit easier to understand. However,
It,
the guy has to be comfortable in that situation. There's some guys that may enjoy having an aggressive woman because it makes the communication is a lot easier. Everybody knows, everybody's on the same page. There's no issues. You do your business, and then next day you go your separate ways or whatever buds from that. Uh,
that's right.
Now, for those that aren't used to encountering aggressive women, it's that same situation except reverse, where you're just like, what do I do? Like, and nine times out of ten, there's just 9 times out of ten, the guy's probably going to be like, I'm not going to want to turn this down, especially
Right,
if she's
right,
attractive. She's attractive and she's aggressive. It's just like, okay, well, and then they're gonna feel bad the next day. Just be like, I really didn't want to do that, but my boy's gonna be like, she was good looking. What's wrong with you? Essentially.
right, right,
So
right, right.
it's a double edged sword. I would say it's more. It's not necessarily a turn off. I would say it's more of a turn on because the communication is a lot easier when it comes to sex and other things like that. Those lines communicate. People know what they want. So uh, I just it's just interesting when it's an aggressive woman and I guess would timid be the right word? Timid, not really timid, but
Tim,
a timid guy.
whatever.
Because then it's just like usually the opposites attract. So that usually works out when it's an aggressive woman and a timid guy that ends up working out. But yeah, I just think the being a woman being aggressive is a lot easier to understand and communicate with than a woman that doesn't say anything when it comes to that situation.
I mean, it just depends on what level, you know. For me, of the aggression,
Right,
you know, you ain't gonna handcuff me to anything. Tie me up, but you understand what I'm saying? It's
right.
just the level of aggression. Um, but I get it. You know, where eh, you get to a point where I look at it at my age, we're mature adults. If 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 you want to be with me, you can let me know. You can show me. It shouldn't be that I have to, you know, say something or make the first move. I mean, we're way past that. I mean, maybe at your age you probably need all that, but I don't need to make the first move. If you want to, the person that I'm dealing with should be able to tell me that
Mhm.
and feel comfortable doing that. Um, uh, at different age groups, probably is different. I don't know how it is at your age, and people at your age.
It's still more about the chase. From what I've seen, they still enjoy the chase and being chased and everything like that. So it does get frustrating at times when you're
Right.
trying to decipher the Da Vinci Code. Uh,
Right.
and so, as I've noticed, as well, I guess in that age range, there's some that are, of course, more vocal about what they're looking for, what they want, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And I can appreciate that. But the ones that are chasing, they may be string along too long, and then that just causes a loss of interest, or you get mixed signals and puts you back in that situation that we talked about earlier. So it's a real difficult situation, but at the end of the day, you with how the climate is right now, you just don't want to put yourself in that situation, especially if you are building something, building a future for yourself, or you're already established. Because once that happens, from what I've seen now, this is starting to change. But once that
Mhm.
happens, a lot of times it's gone. You don't have anything anymore. That's it. Like you lost it all. And now, don't get me wrong.
That's the only
There's
foundation.
yeah. Like it.
It's a weak foundation.
Wait, what? I'm sorry.
I said, is that the only foundation in that relationship or that marriage or what?
What do you mean?
What you're saying that is gone,
No, no.
everything's
What
gone.
you're establishing? Like if you're
Uh,
establishing like if you're establishing wealth for yourself, like for instance, if you're establishing wealth for yourself, you're in like maybe your mid 30s, you have something good going on, making six figures, whatever the case may be, or you
right.
may be an athlete getting ready to go into the professional realm, stuff like that. And
Or in the professional realm.
right,
Yeah.
right. And so and that's what I was saying. Like it's starting to change a little bit, but
Mhm.
prior to that, it just took somebody saying, "Oh, this happened to me," and then that's it. Like you basically lost it all. You lose all those endorsements. You lose those contracts. You lose that. You lose.
When did it change?
Say what?
When did that change?
When did what change?
That that doesn't happen. It still happens.
No, no, no. I'm saying it's starting to switch. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. What I'm saying is from the perspective of crying wolf, essentially, where the person may cry wolf and nothing
Mhm.
actually happened. Instead of people just being like, oh, it happened, we're just going to go with it, no evidence whatsoever, is what
Uh-huh.
I'm referring to. Prior, okay, so I would say maybe in the past 5 years, people are starting
Okay.
to ask the question, okay, well, where's the evidence? What happened? But prior to that, it was more so judge, jury, executioner. You did it. You're guilty. Like that's it. But at least from what I've seen, I mean, you may have a different view on that, but I'm starting to
Well, I'm
see.
just thinking they see you as guilty first, and then you got
Right,
to prove your
right, right. But what I'm saying is
innocence.
there's still a lot more. There's still a lot
More
more.
inquiry.
Yeah, there's more inquiry, and there's also uh people looking into the person that is doing the accusing instead of just
Mhm.
going off the cuff and saying you're guilty now like it was, I would say, like I said, the past maybe 5 years or so. So it's starting to turn, instead of it just being automatic death sentence, like you have no say in the fight or whatever. Like people are starting to, like, okay, well, what really happened? Where's the receipts? Asking the questions essentially.
Technology, baby.
Yeah,
Technology. Yeah, technology has, you know, it's got a long ways to go when it comes to that, but technology has provided some, um, I guess, segue to allow the person being accused to defend themselves.
right,
Because before it was just he say, she say, and don't get me wrong, women who been abused and everything, they were ignored too
right,
when they had legitimate things that happened to them. but it's a shame that people use it when that is not the case, when that has not happened to them. And the women out there in the future who are going to have to use this process and feel comfortable using that process to put it out there, going to be questioned because of people misuse and making accusations that are not true for whatever reason,
Right.
be vindictive, money, whatever. So, um, and that's why I think that if it's a blatant, um, you blatantly found out that you're being dishonest, I think there should be some consequences behind that because it hurts both sides. It hurts the man
Hmm.
who's being accused, and it hurts the victims, uh, future and past victims of that type of violence.
Right.
And it's just not right for them just to walk away, with a slap on the hand. It should be some serious consequences because it's detrimental. That's how detrimental it is. Like you said, you got people with six figure, you know, it just even somebody just living a common life, a young man looking to, be a football player, have potential. It doesn't matter if he wanted to be a garbage collector or a lawn care guy. He still had 18 years of his life stolen because of a lie. That's somebody should be accountable for that. And it's just not right. So, um, the victims need to be heard. If they're being abused, they need to be heard. And if someone is going to use that process for their own personal vendetta, then they need to be dealt with accordingly as well.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you as far as that. And I like I said, I'm starting to see that more and more as far as the false accusations. People are starting to get backlash uh for things that happen, and not it's somewhat related but not related. There was a recent talking about it. There was a recent TikTok that came out, I think, about a week ago, where a young lady was at the gym and she was disrobing in front of a mirror or whatever. And one of the people, I guess it was I want to say it was a trainer. He was with a client, and the client happened to look at the lady, which caused him to look around. And so he never said anything, but in the captions of her TikTok, she put that he said, "Oh damn." And so she went on the defense and be like, well, "What are you looking at? Like X, Y, and Z?" And he's just like, "What are you talking about?" And so she was like, "You gonna stare? Or you gonna keep it pushing?" Essentially, I'm paraphrasing here. I don't. It's not really how everything word for word happened. And so he was like, "What are you talking about? I work here now. If you're gonna keep being rude, I can go ahead and call the cops, and you can leave." She's like, "Well, go ahead and do it then. I don't care." And basically went on to say that accusing him of like not what's the word I'm thinking of? Not sexual. It wasn't sexual assault or anything like that, but basically calling him out as the pervert, essentially. Um,
right.
but everybody
Or
came, yeah, everybody came to his defense and be like, "What are you talking about? Like, if you're in a gym and disrobing in front of a mirror, like people are going to look." And it wasn't like she was naked or anything like that. She was taking off like 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 a not a crop top, but a overshirt essentially. She was taking off an overshirt,
right,
and people were like, "Yeah, it's going to be natural for people to look when you're doing stuff like that in front of a mirror, like regardless
right,
of what's going on." And so I just found it comforting that people are starting to look at the full picture and come to the defense of people that are being accused or things are being twisted to or skewed in the wrong way, essentially.
victimized. Let's call it. They're being victimized
Right,
because that's the ultimate thing. They're victims. They're gonna be a victim depending on how far it goes.
right,
So yeah, it's but that's how sensitive this thing is, and that you, I you always got to protect yourself. You can't do enough to protect yourself. Um, for me, I would tell my daughter to go. You meet some guy at a bar and go to his house, and you had drinks and all this stuff, and it goes to this point, and you're being physical to one sense, and then say, I don't want to do anything. I'm just saying, don't put yourself in that position.
Right.
If I would tell my daughter that. Um, the young man, you don't bring everybody to your house. You don't just look hook up with somebody. You go, now, let's say this. Take her to my house. So if I take you to a hotel, isn't that saying two different things?
Yeah.
If I'm taking you to a hotel and we get in a room, we stand there in front of the clerk getting a room, that says something totally different, right?
Right.
We're here willingly together to get a room. I have a home, you have a home or a place to live, but we're coming here together. That says something as well. So whatever you need to do to take to protect yourself, you need to do that.
Right.
So,
And I think uh I think a lot of, well, not a lot of people, but the most recent thing that I heard was
mhm,
Drake, and I thought
mhm.
it was a little bit funny, but at the same time, I'm like, it's kind of sad that it's come to this. He has the women that he's going to hook up with and everything that signed NDAs. There was one that went to an extreme where she was trying to have one of his kids, essentially. And
Ah,
so what
ah,
you know where I'm going with this, right? So what he did, he put hot sauce in the condom, and so when she used it, and she got burnt and everything like that, and it was just like, well, kind of, it was one of those like serves you right kind of thing. So he was protecting himself on top
that's
of
right.
having her sign the NDA and all that other stuff. But I just think it's kind of sad that it's coming to the point of people having to sign NDAs, and granted, it's understandable because you have to protect yourself. It's understandable.
But why you didn't flush it?
I, I don't know.
I'm just saying, I mean, what I'm saying is, it's do whatever it takes to protect yourself within means that is legal. But you left. Okay, I got $100,000 cash sitting out here.
Hmm.
I'm having a good time. I got, I go to sleep. I just met this lady. I go to sleep. I got $100,000, and I wake up and the $100,000 gone. And I'll say, "What? Why would she take $100,000? I thought we had a good time. Whatever." Temptation. You left it out.
Right.
Sign whatever. They. It's just certain things that's why the validity of um, that story, I have to question,
Right.
because I'm like, why? If you did all that, why don't you just go to the next level and just get rid of it? It just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
I don't know the entire details.
Right.
I don't know why he didn't flush it or if he just threw it away. Because in my mind, if he has them sign the NDA, that's pretty much it at that point. Because you both were coherent to sign something like that. There's a lawyer. I would assume there's a lawyer present. Before
Right.
you guys get intimate or whatever, he made you sign an NDA.
Oh,
So
right.
I don't know. I don't know why it would go to that extreme as far
Well,
as
we'll get the hot sauce out.
just like man.
But I'm just saying, but I get what you're saying. But the fact that that story was even, I guess, viewed or even looked upon says a lot of the times of what's going on based on what we're talking about. It's you you have to do that. You have to protect. You know, I was you know running options of putting cameras in your home and then let them know you got cameras
Mhm.
inside. You know, I mean, I don't know how intrusive that would be to anyone, but if, as you get to a certain level and at a certain age, no, you should always protect yourself. You know, and it is never you can never do too much. I think you can never do too much when it comes to this part of it,
Right.
um, to protect yourself. But I think you should always think about it. You should always consider your options and what you have to lose. If you feel like you can lose it, hey, you know, do what you like. Just be reckless and do what you feel. It feels good, do it. But um, if you want to um, protect what you have and protect your reputation. Because I'll tell you, once your name is tarnished, your name is tarnished.
Right. And that's for both sides. That and just
That's right.
to clarify, that works for both sides because if you're a young lady that's promiscuous, your name is tarnished amongst the your name is going to get around more or less.
That's right.
Just to say that right there, right? Or, just to say that your name's going to get around, so people are going to look at you a certain kind of way when you're walking down the street or when you're out and about with your friends.
So, but that's a lot of times they deal with people outside of their community,
Right.
outside the people who don't know 'em. And you bring up a good point. So, if a woman could be a good woman, and I got a very different opinion probably than what you have.
Hmm.
Sleep with sleeps with you the first night. Do you look at her differently?
I don't think so because I don't really know her like that. It's like this is our first encounter. You know what I mean? Like this would if I talked to her and got to know her because 9 times out of 10, if it's on the first night, I don't know the details as far as the night before, but I'm just gonna go off the cuff and say this was a night out, and that this is when something like that would happen. Um, so in
Whatever
that
whatever reasoning works for you. Whatever reasoning. All right.
in that instance, then no. I don't think I'd feel any kind of way regardless, but just the phrasing of that question, I'm just like, normally, at least in my experience, that doesn't happen on the first night. That's usually after talking to him for a little while or whatever, a couple of dates. But that's just me. But going back to college, thinking about college because everybody has the college experience. No, I haven't looked at anybody differently. Now, don't get me wrong. There was ones that I was warned to stay away from. There was ones that I was warned to stay away from because because of X, Y, and Z, whatever the case may be.
All right.
And so that would skew your view of that person when you encounter them. But typically, no, never really looked at them any kind of way. And I treated them with the same. I would treat them with the same respect as when, like, as if we were first meeting. So
Okay. I'm kind of same way. I feel the same way, which I would thought you would think differently, but no, we kind of on the same, and especially at my age. And like I said earlier, you know, you come to a certain age, you know what you want,
right,
you know what you're going to do. Don't you're not impressing me by trying to say not on the first night.
right,
You know, um, let's say okay, it, let's make a rule that we go Dutch. until the first night we you get together. Would I be wrong to say something like that? Make that proposition to say, okay, when we go out, you pay for you,
Mm,
and I'll pay for me. And then if we get to know each other and we like each other, then and and we want to decide to have a relationship, then maybe I'll pay for the meal, dinner and all that stuff during this process. Not sit here because I'm gonna tell you one thing. At my age now, I'm not gonna be used. I'm not gonna sit around and treat you out to dinners and all. And I'm not saying that's a requirement to get something in return, but I'm not. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm not gonna be that person to just wine and dine you and let you think that, oh, I'll just go out with him to eat and I'll go over here to sleep with John or Jim.
mm,
That's not who I am, and I'm not gonna do that. So I might enjoy the time with you, but let's do it Dutch. Let's do it Dutch. So let's go and let's have a good time, and you pay your way, and I pay my way, and if we feeling each other, then we go from there. But I think that's probably the best way to go about that sleep. So I don't feel cheated. You don't feel cheated. We enjoying each other's time, but I don't think that's going to fly with most most women. But
right.
that's my take on it. But for me, just like you, first night it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. I'm not going to look at you any different if it happens or if it doesn't happen. But I'm gonna look at it differently if we're going out, 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 and then you say, "Well, I don't think this is working," and all that. Look, and I'm just gonna be flat out. If that's a male and he's spending his time and resources on you, and you're not doing anything but just showing up, he expects something. I'm, I'm just I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying it's required, but why do that? If you're not interested in the guy, let it go. Let it go. Let it be said. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But to sit there and use this guy just to have a good time, because and I, you hear you get this somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You get this somewhere, and be man or woman enough to put it out there. And that's why I'm saying that oh, I'm not going to sleep on the first night to show that, and because I really think that women think that they don't do it to say that they're a good woman, but they got 5 kids, and I'm like, okay, I mean, or 2 kids. It, I'm just putting that. I don't know how you see it, but that's how I see it.
Well,
I mean, you did yours. Go
well, no, I was just I hear you, and I was thinking about what you were asking me about the first night and everything, and I was like, come to think of it, all my friends that ended up hooking up on the first night ended up dating that person for an extended period of time. So I don't know if it's just particularly my age bracket, or if it's just the people that I associated myself with and hung out with. But I just thought it was really interesting that every person that I thought of in that whole time, and I was listening to you, so don't think I wasn't listening to you because I know
no, no,
you may be an old man, but yeah, you do provide some insight. But the entire time that you were speaking, I was thinking about, I was like, so what about this person? Oh yeah. oh yeah, he got with this person. They dated for 4 to 6 months or whatever. What about this person? Oh no, they married. Now they have kids. I was like, wait a minute. So it's a trend. It was a trend that I've noticed amongst my friends, and I that may be the character that I see in those people that I associate myself with. I don't really know. I'd have to look, deeper into that. But
Look,
just the fact that all of them ended up dating the person that they hooked up with that first night for an extended period of time, I was just like, that's interesting. But to answer what you were saying as far as the multiple dates and everything like that, you should know. I think the typical rule, and I may be wrong with this, is the rule of three. It's like 3 dates, and by the end of the third date, you should know what the trajectory is and where everything is going, if not before then. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and my thing is, and I know this is going to be a little harsh, but I don't want to hear you complain about, oh, there's no good men out there when you keep cycling through the same people, but you don't want to broaden your horizons to look at other things that may be a little bit different. So I'm sorry that it's falling on deaf ears as far as I'm concerned. And y'all can crucify me in the comments about that if you want to. I don't give a F. Um, that is just my viewpoint because that is something I've been hearing the entire time that I've been growing up since college, getting out of college, in the adult world now. It's just like it's a broken record. It's just like, well, why do you keep doing what you're doing? So that's what the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Oh,
that's right.
eh,
But yeah, no, absolutely. Y- y- and that horizon, because I think it's a lot of tunnel vision in that. It's you want a bad boy, you want and base it only on sex.
mm,
Um, and then when you just get that, and somebody else is providing it for your man, now he's no good, and everybody else, men in general, are no good.
mm,
No, no, no. Like you said, you keep fishing in the same pond. I mean, and you keep, and I'm talking about the pond that you looking for a certain type of fish. You keep catching that fish and expecting it to taste different, and it's the same fish.
right.
So no, no. So
And
no, no. I get it.
and and on top of that, there was I forgot who told me this, but there was a saying. Basically, it's a cycle essentially, and I forgot where I saw this at, but it was very true. It's like the good
Okay.
girl meets the I guess the dickhead. The good girl meets the dickhead. She gets messed
Mhm.
over. She becomes, the crazy chick essentially meets the good guy who she wanted, turns and ends up messing him up mentally, and he becomes a dickhead, and then he ends up meeting the good girl, and so it's just a cycle essentially. So I was just like, that is very interesting and true from what from what I've seen. And it was really interesting. It's just that cycle. There's no good girl meets good guy. Well, I'm not saying there isn't any instance, but from typically it's one or the other. It's like you either, and then it's yin and yang.
Yeah. It's just damaged people. You put up these, and everybody, even the body does it naturally. You build up your immune system. You get a virus, you fight through it, and then the body builds up some immunity to it, for the most part. But that's just how it is with your emotions. You go through something and you deal with it. It might hurt, but your body builds up things to protect it from being hurt again the same way. You don't want the same capacity, that same thing to affect you the same way again. If it was detrimental to you in that way, You're gonna put things up. You're gonna put barriers up. So that changes you as a person.
Right.
So I mean, you get, you know, I don't expect a queen when she's been treated like you want to be treated like a queen, but you've always been treated like a joke, a clown,
Hmm.
and you don't know how to accept when somebody treats you like a queen because you don't know any different. You might see the good things, you might see, but you waiting for the fall. You waiting for you waiting for the bottom to drop out. You waiting for everything to collapse because your defenses are built because of your past. So, and that's why, jumping in a bunch of relationships, getting in a relationship, getting out of a relationship, and back into a relationship without even healing and realizing how you got in there. Like you said, that same thing. You keep going in that cycle, not allowing yourself to say, "Oh, let's stop. Let's stop the wheel for a minute, and maybe I need to get on a different track." So maybe I'm doing something. Maybe I need to make some changes. Mental, who I'm picking, who I'm looking for, what's acceptable. What do I have to change in me to get that type of person?
Hmm.
And um, but no, no, great point. And it's things that need to be addressed. But the crux of the thing is always protect yourself. And like you said, Joe, when I say protect yourself, protect your feelings, your heart, everything. Your emotional side, the physical side, and everything else. And guys seem to be a little more reckless, but they got so much to lose. And it's easier for them to lose it.
Right.
It's easier, so you see things in schools, a female teacher does this is looked at this way, a male teacher does it, it's totally different.
Right.
So just the male female dynamics makes things is totally different, is looked upon differently. So that's how critical you know this is. So look at it.
Mm. Yeah. But at the end of the day, no means no. we pretty
No,
much, we
that's
pretty much,
exactly
at the end of the day, no means no, no nuances. Just nip it in the bud. Just nip it in the bud before it even becomes a problem. Just like the weeds out in the, just like the weeds out in the yard. Just nip it in the bud before it becomes a problem.
right. Hey, you can get that answer real quick. You say, hey, do you want hey, what's wrong? Ask right there where you're at in a open setting. Is this what you want to do? And it might sound crude, like, why would you do that? That's not. But you gonna bring them all the way to your house to ask,
Hmm.
all the way to your home and do it when you can just do it right there and got everything you needed to know and meet. I don't know if you want to take out dinner or something, Dutch dinner, you know, you could have done it then. So, I mean, it might sound it's not the most romantic thing to do, but if you're going to ask, or if you expect that, why not ask there?
Right.
So, like I said, no means no.
Yeah. And it was a little interesting topic to talk about today, to say the least.
That's right.
But yeah, I hope you all took something from this, at least
I
this.
hope so too. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we're out of here. The old man and me,
Yes.
the think they know. See you all
Yeah.
next week. What's up?
No, I just want to say one thing about these conversations. Um, we do it with humor and try not making light of it. Um, but I I like our conversations because we're talking about things that are going on with no filter for trying to get anybody's approval or whatever. well, we're trying to put,
Except
you
the
know,
YouTube overlords. Let's not forget that. We don't need this video to be struck down. YouTube, we respect you, okay?
no, no, not in that sense. Giving information that's prudent, that can help the community, that we hope we're providing something that when you listen to it, you could not say follow it, but you could stop and think about what we're talking about in your own lives just for a second, because sometimes we just don't do that. So, um, I enjoy our conversations, and I just wanted people to know this is what the conversations are about. Just putting topics out there to, about conversations. It's a topic, and we're having a conversation about a topic to just put awareness out into the community. That's it. You can cut that.
I was waiting, is that you're gonna be your acceptance speech? I mean,
No, 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 no. Cut
okay.
that part. Cut that
Oh,
part.
that's gonna be in there. That's gonna be in there. But anyway, we're out of here, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Later.
All right, buddy.